All right, guys, it's the Week 11 spread picks. A lot of games to go through. We're going to make some money this weekend. I got some top plays for you guys. I'm going to try to make this video short, so let's just get right into it. First game up, we got the Carolina Panthers at the Baltimore Ravens. The Panthers are plus 13. This is a tough game. Just my instincts tell me that the Ravens are due to have a big home game, a game where they dominate and they show the world that they're elite and that they're one of the best teams in this league. Carolina also has been struggling on the road. We saw when they went to Cincinnati, and I had a heavy lean towards Cincinnati. We saw that they just got clobbered. And but when they've been at home playing against the Falcons, or even when they went on the road to Atlanta and the game was right there, they were competitive in both of those games. So, and even against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they were hosting the Buccaneers, they were competitive there. So we see that Carolina can compete within division. We know division games are tricky. But when Carolina is going against one of the best teams in the AFC, a team that they don't really play too often, I have a hard time seeing them really taking care of business. But this is a big spread, and we are getting Baker Mayfield instead of P.J. Walker. With P.J. Walker, with these XFL quarterbacks, I feel like sometimes they have great games, and sometimes they're just horrible. They're very risky guys, like P.J. Walker, Taylor Heinicke, very risky quarterbacks. With Baker Mayfield, it might be a little bit more consistent, but at the same time, it's Baker Mayfield. So I don't know what to expect out of this game. Really tough game here. Next up, we got the Philadelphia Eagles at the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are plus 7 at home on a minus 120 on the odds we see right there. And I like the Colts in this spot, but it would be nice to get plus 7, plus 7.5. I really would like plus 7.5. On a minus 120, they're telling us that it's probably going to go back down to plus 6.5. That's where it's been at for most this week. But maybe we buy up and we get the Colts at plus 7.5. It's something I'm going to have to look into a little bit more, see what the odds are. But the Colts are a team that can run the ball very well. They're at home. When they had a similar line like this against the Chiefs, we took them when they hadn't even won a game yet all season. Everybody thought I was crazy, and the Colts won that game outright. This is a game, maybe the Colts don't win it outright because the Eagles are coming off of a loss, and the Eagles are going to be prepared and focused, and we know that they're one of the best teams in this league. But it is a big spread, and the Colts with Jonathan Taylor, like I said, with Matt Ryan, who he's washed, but they're going to try to make it easy for him. They're going to ask him only to make short throws. And we also got a Colts defense that's very competitive going against Jalen Hurts, who, I like Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is a great leader. I think he has all the intangibles. I think he makes some real big plays. But I don't know if Jalen Hurts is just going to kill you within the pocket. I feel like they're going to find a way to keep him in the pocket, going to find a way to kind of limit some of the special things that he does and force him to just be a pocket thrower. And I don't know if on the road against a really hungry team, he can do that to the point of covering a spread at 7.5. So heavy lean to the Colts here. We might end up getting to them. I really want to, but I just need a little bit more. I don't know if 7 is enough for me. Maybe buy up and get the 7.5. Next up, we got the Los Angeles Rams plus 3 at the New Orleans Saints. This is a Saints or nothing spot for me. The Los Angeles Rams without Matthew Stafford, without Cooper Kupp. I mean, how many points is Cooper Kupp worth? He's so much of their offense. Now to take this team on the road, we see how bad they've been this season. And the Saints, it burns us taking the Saints. The Saints have let us down a bunch. They've let everybody down a bunch this season. I actually didn't think the Saints were going to be as good as most people did. I had them under their win total, but still, they've even burned us a couple times in spots where we thought they would function really well. It's hard to really want to back Andy Dalton, but you're getting them at home. You're getting them more healthy than the other team. Man, you can't take the Rams. There's no reason to take the Rams in this spot. This is the Saints or nothing spot. Gonna have to look into it some more. Maybe we end up getting on the Saints just by default. Maybe it's one of those plays that we just have to take because you're getting the home team that's supposedly better at this point in time. But like I said, it's tough backing the Saints right now, but it's even tougher backing the Rams. Heavy lean towards the Saints. Be on the lookout for that on my Twitter and Instagram. We might end up getting there by Sunday. Just got to look into it some more, check the injury reports out. These are two teams that have just been riddled with injuries throughout the whole season. Next game, we got the Detroit Lions at the New York Giants. The Lions are plus 3 on the road. And look, if you got this line when it was 3.5, if you got this line if it was 4, if you got this line at more than 4, I understand taking the Detroit Lions. I really do. This feels like a field goal game. This feels like two teams that are pretty evenly matched. But for me, Jared Goff, another road game, coming off back-to-back wins against division opponents. Jared Goff, not in a dome. Jared Goff going against a New York Giants team that's very, very tough defense, very tough defense. And I do feel like the New York Giants with Brian Daboll have the extreme coaching advantage. I love Dan Campbell. He motivates his guys. But the Giants have the coaching advantage here. The Giants also have this stigma of not being good at home, but they've been good at home this season. The Giants were a team, I was telling everybody both these teams actually were going to be cover teams this year. And I was telling you guys, the Giants have a chance of making the playoffs this year. I said that very early on, and we're seeing it come to fruition now. Look, at -3, on a 3-point spread, you have to take the Giants here. At a 3-point spread, you have to take you cannot take Detroit at +3. If they're getting more than 3, I understand this being a debate. At Giants -3, this is a Giants or nothing spot, and we may end up getting to the Giants, honestly, because they have shown us that they do function well in these environments when it's a one-possession game. They know how to win games, and the Detroit Lions know how to lose games. You know, when you see the Las Vegas Raiders last year with John Gruden, and then when they went to Rich Bisaccia, they were great at winning those close games. This year with my coach Josh McDaniels, they've been horrible in these close games. The New York Giants are a team this year that knows how to win these close games, and Detroit has always been a team that knows how to lose these close games. So on a 3-point spread, you got to go New York. We'll see. I might end up getting there just because there's so much value in this line. Moving on, we got the New York Jets at the New England Patriots. The Patriots are -3 at home. We see that it's a -120 on the odds, probably going to go up to 3.5. This is another game, hey, as far as line value goes, if you got the Jets at 3.5, if you got the Jets at 4, 4.5, 5 when it opened up, I think it opened up at 5. If you got the Jets somewhere in that range, I understand it. I do. But when you look at this game and it's a field goal game and the Patriots are the home team, both teams coming off byes, I believe, the Patriots are the better coach team. I do like Saleh a lot, but the Patriots are the better coach team. Both quarterbacks are horrible, but the Patriots are getting better quarterback play. It's hard not to take the Patriots in this spot. If the line is 3, you got to take the Patriots in this spot. If the line becomes more than 3, hey, this becomes a different conversation. But at a field goal spread, you got to take the Patriots here. Patriots -3 would be the play. Next game, we got the Washington Commanders at the Houston Texans. The Commanders are -3 on the road, coming off a big primetime win, short week against the Philadelphia Eagles. That was a division game with a lot of motivation. Big game that they had to go out there and win. Taylor Heinicke played fairly well in that game. But that's what happens with these XFL quarterbacks. They're going to get hot. They're going to have a good night. Then the next game around, they're going to turn around against a weaker opponent, a team that you expect. This is going to be a game that everybody's just like, oh, yeah, take the Commanders. Now, you don't buy the Commanders in this spot. You got to take the Texans as the home dog. You got to take the Texans. The Texans, the running back, Dameon Pierce, I believe, he's been running the ball extremely well. The Texans, believe it or not, the Texans have the better quarterback. Davis Mills can make plays. Davis Mills can make throws. You know, he can get the job done. Davis Mills is better than a lot of quarterbacks out here that people talk about. Give me Davis Mills over an Andy Dalton. Give me Davis Mills over Baker, over P.J. Walker. Give me Davis Mills over Taylor Heinicke. Davis Mills is not that bad. You know, Davis Mills can get the job done for you. He's competent. And getting this Texans team at home, we've seen them as a home dog. They covered against the Eagles, another team coming out of that NFC East. The Texans as a home dog, you know, we took the Texans week 1 against the Colts when the Texans were home dogs getting all those points. You got to take the Texans as a home dog in this spot. This is a pros Joe's game. I don't even have to look at the money bet split or whatever to tell you this. I can just look at the slate and I can tell you that the Texans, all the pros are going to be on the Texans. All the Joes, all the average bettors, your casual bettors, they're going to just say, oh, I need the Commanders. They're the better team. That's 100% what's going on with this game. I can just tell you that right now. And I got to take Lovie Smith at home. I got to take Davis Mills at home. I got to take the running back Pierce at home. I got to take these guys versus the Washington Commanders. Taylor Heinicke on the road. Ron Rivera, he has had this team turning it around, but Rivera is inconsistent. You got to take Houston in this spot. The only concern is that Washington is hot right now and they're fully locked in on trying to make the playoffs, while the Houston Texans may have given up a little bit because their season is essentially over. They're the worst team in football. But in football, I worry less about tanking than in other sports, because these guys, at the end of the day, when you're on that field, the intensity and these big guys coming after you, trying to tackle you, you got to block these big guys, all these different things. It's harder to tank in football. I feel like general managers and coaches and owners try to tank in football, but the players never really try to tank in football. In the NBA, you might actually see players tanking in basketball. You might see them doing load management. You might see them just making up an injury, things of that sort. In the NFL, players don't load manage. Players don't tank. Players are giving it their all because the contracts aren't guaranteed, and because you got to survive that physicality. You got to live to see tomorrow. It's just human instincts, human nature. So I like the Texans in this spot. Texans +3. Texans win this game straight up probably. And if they lose this game, they lose by a field goal. You get the push. But this is a Texans spot, clearly. Next up, we got the Chicago Bears at the Atlanta Falcons. The Bears are +3 on the road. I want to take Chicago. I know everybody's going to be on Chicago. I want to take Chicago, but this is just tricky. Like, these are two teams that, when you talk about inconsistent, the Bears, sometimes they look hot. Right now they look hot, so you want to buy them. Right now the Falcons look cold, so you want to fade them. But just when you want to buy the Bears, that's when they fold. Just when you want to fade Atlanta, that's when they win. That's what these two teams do. I don't really got much on this game. I'd advise everybody to stay away from this game because everybody's going to want to take the Bears, and I could see the Falcons pulling this out. I could also, I could see the Bears. I could see the Bears pulling it out. My natural inclination would be to take the Bears, but this just feels weird to me. Wouldn't touch this game. Next up, we got the Las Vegas Raiders at the Denver Broncos. The Raiders are +2.5. You would love to get 3 here. It looks like this game is headed towards a 3. And if it does head towards a 3, even at 2.5, but really at a 3, you got to take the Raiders. Divisional opponent, two teams that are broken. The difference is the Raiders have actually had moments where they look competent. The Raiders have had quarters. The Raiders have had halves where they look like a real good football team. The Broncos have been terrible all year long. I don't like Josh McDaniels, but Josh McDaniels is better than what they got going on in Denver with Hackett. He's just better. Derek Carr is a better quarterback than Russell Wilson at this point in Wilson's career. I actually can't say that. The Raiders' defense is horrible. The Broncos' defense is actually really good, which is why I actually like this under on the total even more than the spread. But in this game, two major plays. I like the Raiders a lot, and I like the under a lot. I could see this being Raiders 17-14. It's just a 3-point game. It's a field goal game, and I think the Raiders edge it out. I just think the Raiders have a little more heart right now because the Raiders have actually seen themselves play good football and can say, hey, we know if we lock in, we got this going on. The Raiders actually want to play hard for Derek Carr. Most of the guys like him. I don't think guys are really buying into this Russell Wilson experience up in Denver. They lose games that they're just supposed to win. And the Raiders, they drop the ball too, but nobody's dropping the ball like Denver is this season. So in this spot, I like the Raiders. I like the under, 17-14 kind of game. The Raiders are 9-1 ATS. I want to say 9-1 ATS the last 10 against Denver, and 8-2 straight up against Denver last 10 matchups. So this is one of those matchups like nobody talks about it, but the Raiders just completely own Denver. Like, as a guy who grew up as a Raider fan, when I watched the Raiders play Denver, that's like one of the few teams as a Raider fan where you're like, oh yeah, we're going to win. Like, we own Denver. And people don't really talk about that matchup. They talk about the Rams and the Niners, how the Niners own the Rams. They talk about games like that. They talk about the Jags owning the Colts. But the Raiders own the Denver Broncos. Derek Carr owns this franchise. One of their only wins this season was against the Broncos. I think it continues here. Give me the Raiders in the under. Next game, we got the Dallas Cowboys at the Minnesota Vikings. The Cowboys are -1.5. I was telling all my friends when we were talking about this matchup before the lines came out, I said, give me the Cowboys. And everybody was like, nah, you got to take the Vikings. They're going to be short home favorites, this, that, and the third. I was like, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure. And of course, this line came out. It was like Cowboys -2 opening line, something like that. Cowboys -1.5, -2 opening line. Of course, the Cowboys are favored in this matchup. Vegas is telling you the strength of schedule. We're not really too impressed by what the Vikings have done this season. Yeah, they beat the Bills, but isn't that just Josh Allen being dumb? Like, to me, Joe Burrow is better than Josh Allen. To me, Patrick Mahomes has always been better than Josh Allen. I love Josh Allen. I think what he does is electric, but it looks like he's missing Brian Daboll a little bit, and it looks like they just rely on him a little too much, and he gets in his own way. And Josh Allen pretty much gave the Minnesota Vikings that game. Now the Vikings are coming back home. It's the game of the week. They're going up against a really hungry defense that has been great all season and is coming off arguably their worst game of the year against the Packers, a real letdown game. They lost that game outright. Forget the cover. They went to overtime and lost that game outright. Now the Cowboys are going to have to get right against the Minnesota team. The way I look at it is this. Dak and Kirk Cousins are basically the same quarterback to me. You pull up their statistics, you look at what they do consistently throughout the season, they're about the same quarterback. Maybe Kirk is a little bit better thrower of the football, but Dak Prescott, he's a little more willing to run out the pocket, make some gamer plays, make things happen, a little more athletic, definitely stronger. So they balance out to being about the same to me at the quarterback position, maybe a slight lean to Kirk, but the difference is I think the Cowboys are going to be able to run the football better than the Vikings can. And I know the Cowboys are going to be able to stop the Vikings passing game more than the Vikings can stop the Cowboys passing game. The Vikings defense is not good. Like, the Vikings do not have a good defense. That's why I'm probably going to be fading them come playoff time. This Vikings defense is not good. The secondary is bad. In the front, they have guys that can rush the quarterback, but they cannot stop the run. And I just think Kirk is going to have a harder game, harder night than Dak Prescott has. Like, he's going to be facing more challenges than Dak does. He's going against a way, way tougher defense. And because of that, I'm going to take the more comfortable quarterback. I'm going to take the better defense. I'm going to take the team that Vegas is saying should be favored even though they're on the road. Give me the Dallas Cowboys here. It's probably the lock of the week. We're going to lock that in real soon. I haven't placed any bets yet. But look for me to place these games. Look for me to post them on Twitter and Instagram tonight, Friday night. If not, Saturday, I'm going to lock these games in. I'm just going to pay attention to the lines and where they're headed towards if we can get any extra value. But Cowboys in this spot is probably the lock of the week at Cowboys -1. I'd take it at Cowboys -2.5, to be honest. Next up, we got the Cincinnati Bengals at the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Bengals are -4. Pittsburgh. We're taking Pittsburgh again. Pittsburgh as a home dog. We saw what they did last week against the Saints. Yo, when you're getting Tomlin at home and you're getting points and you're getting Kenny Pickett, who, I'm going to be honest, the way Kenny Pickett is playing quarterback right now, he's the best thing the Steelers have had at quarterback in a few years. Like, Big Ben was washed his last couple seasons in Pittsburgh. And Mitch Trubisky is not good. And Kenny Pickett, to start his career, he had a tough couple games to begin it all. But what he was giving them last week and the little signs that he's shown them, his little moments throughout the season, he's giving them the best quarterback play they've had in a few years. He's mobile. He'll run out the pocket. He'll make plays. He'll scramble. He'll throw the ball up to their wide receivers. They have good talent on the outside, on the perimeter, guys who can go up and make plays. This is a team that with TJ Watt back, they also get stops on the defensive side. The Cincinnati Bengals, their O-line has been pretty atrocious this season. No Jamar Chase still. I can see them making this really tough for Joe Burrow. Like I said, when the Cincinnati Bengals were going against the Browns, we leaned Browns, and the Browns took care of business in that spot. Then the Bengals owned Carolina, and now what do we see going on here? We see the Cincinnati Bengals back on the road going against a division opponent. They got smacked last time against the Browns in the same situation. So this is the same situation, but you're going up against a better coaching staff, in my opinion, and you're going up against a tougher defense, and you're going up against better quarterback play, honestly. Pickett's better than Brissett. And in the run game, Chubb and them are better, but more overall, you're going up against a tougher team with the Steelers than you were against the Browns, and the Bengals just laid down in that spot. So I really love the Steelers here. Even if the Steelers were to lose this game, and I think they win it outright, but even if they lose this game, you got to think that the Steelers keep this within a field goal. Worst case scenario, the Steelers lose by 4. We get the push. But I really do see this being a spot where the Steelers take care of business and win the game outright. 4.5 would be amazing. 4.5 would be super safe if you want to avoid any possibility of a push or things of that sort. We may end up doing that. But Steelers +4, I like to play a lot. It's one of the top plays of the week. We will be on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Last two games, we got the primetime games. The Kansas City Chiefs at the Los Angeles Rams, Sunday Night Football. This is a division game against two teams that always play against each other tough. The only way you can look in this game is the Chargers. My only hesitation is that the Chiefs have been very good on the road this season. The Chiefs have been very good on the road. They lock in, they take care of business, they do what they got to do. And the Chargers, hey, the Chargers, people hate on the Chargers more than they should, in my opinion. But with the Chargers, with Brandon Staley, it's kind of hard to predict what you're going to get. That's the only reason why I'm not just like jumping to take the Chargers here. Also, this line was at like +6, +7 at one point. At +5, I got to check the injury report, but it seems like the wide receivers must have got cleared. Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. They got to be getting both of them back, or at least one of them back, for the line to move like this. I know that that's the case. And in this spot, man, it's a Chargers or nothing spot, and it's a Sunday night game, so maybe I end up posting that game late. I'm going to need to think about this game a little bit more if I want to get in front of Kansas City. But the Chargers are definitely the play in this spot. If you got the Chargers, I respect it, because the Chargers should be the play. The Chargers should hit in this spot. And lastly, Monday Night Football, we got the San Francisco 49ers at the Arizona Cardinals. This game is going to be in New Mexico. The Cardinals, Kyler Murray, quarterback, and second stringer Colt McCoy are both banged up. We don't know if we're going to get either quarterback. If it is the third string quarterback, I would take the 49ers maybe even up to 10. I might even take the 49ers up to 10 if it's the third string quarterback. The 49ers defense is just really, really good. They're coming off a game that they didn't play that well in. They're going to want to get right here. 49ers with the run game, with the coaching advantage, everything that they have going on. This just feels like a smackdown spot. There are a lot of 49er fans in New Mexico. I'm sure it's going to feel more like a home game for the Niners than it does for the Cardinals. All signs point to the Niners in this spot, but it is a big spread, and I don't like taking Shanahan with big spreads. We also got to see how the quarterback play turns out for the Cardinals, who they have back there. So there's a lot to consider, and a lot we just got to wait and see with this game. This is a game that if we end up on the 49ers, it's not going to be until Monday that we end up on them. So once again, I like the Steelers. I like the Colts. I like who else do I like? I like the Cowboys. I like the Texans. I like the Raiders. I like the under in that game. I like the Patriots. I like the Chargers. I like the Niners. There's a lot of games that I like this week. There's a lot to work with. But we're going to narrow it down. We're going to try to take the best one. Make sure to check out my Twitter and Instagram so you can see what the top plays end up being. Probably end up getting on 4 to 5 of them. I try not to get on more than that per week. So yeah, let's try to get the 4 or 5 best plays. We're going to win money this weekend, guys. It's time for us to step up. We're going to get the job done. NBA's been going really well. Make sure to follow me so you can see those plays. I post them every day. Afternoon time, usually by I'm on the West Coast, usually by 2. Games will start at 4:30. Usually by 2, I have all the plays up for the night for the NBA. So make sure to tell the plays, free plays, the best free plays that you're going to get. I do my homework. I do this just to try to win us games and just to try to get better as a better every single day. Appreciate you guys for viewing the videos. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Share the videos for me. Until next time, peace.